started with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Board of County Commissioners. It's January 26, 2023. On my right is Commissioner Kevin Cook, who represents District 2, and on my left is Commissioner Aaron Mazer, who represents District 3, and I'm Bill Rippon, I represent District 1. Madam Clerk, what's first?
I need a book. I don't know how to adjust my chair, so I'm just gonna, if I push the button, I'll end up on the floor, so I'm just gonna.
I don't think it can go any lower.
Oh, okay, well, let's just pretend. I mean, I don't sit down until y'all come in. I'm sorry.
The meeting was going so well.
I know, until the county clerk got here.
Where did I lose control?
Well, let's get Bill up here. Item 1, proclamations, presentations. A, Vallejo quarterly report, Bill Persinger.
Thank goodness.
Cindy, I have heard myself. How low can you go?
I know it, that's it. That's all.
Heard it myself. And Chairman, you have lost control. We'll see if I can do anything to help restore that order. I am Bill Persinger, and I'm the fellow blessed and lucky to be the Chief Executive at Vallejo. She can always speak for herself, but my colleague here, Kathy Moser, the Chief Executive at Family Service and Guidance, is here to make some comments this morning. And I have to get over calling her the new Chief Executive over there. She's been here since last March. Yeah, it's, oh, whoa, here we go. So I want to thank you for a few minutes here, and I think Kathy and I today are going to cover our substance abuse programs. Our strategy lately has been to, keep coming in here every quarter or oftener, and so instead of giving you a smattering of 8 or 10 or 12 things that we're doing, try to focus on subjects, particularly around public safety and all that. So you do have a packet there. I want to thank staff for supporting us when we schedule these meetings and send material in. That's always great. A couple of brochures there, one covering what we call the Vallejo Recovery Center. So if you hear our staff talk about the VRC, that's our word for it. That's our substance abuse recovery treatment program. We just call it the Vallejo Recovery Program. And there's a general brochure about the mental health center for your reading, and so we hope you'll review these at your leisure and add them to your mental health file. So sorry about the big font. The old eyeballs are fading quickly, and it's about all I could read sitting at my desk in here. Otherwise, probably could have got this down to one page. So I just want to outline for you real quickly the location of our alcohol and drug abuse program. It's 330 Southwest Oakley. It's in the back of the big beige buildings where the services are located. It's a pretty huge area, but it's right not there on the street. Kathy Walker is the director of our program. We employ 38 people at present. And then I just provided you a list of services there, and you can run down through there. Most of those are pretty explanatory, but it's what we call the full continuum of substance abuse services for adults, those 18 and over. So I'll just make quick reference to that. And then the budget revenue line items for calendar 22, which we just completed. So you can see how we've got each of the dollar categories allocated there. You can see how county dollars are allocated. City, state, and there are federal dollars in there as well in the block grant. So when you see the phrase patient fees, I've got an asterisk there. Those are comprised of federal block grant dollars managed by KDADs and then paid out to each of the qualifying organizations around the state. Medicaid, a contract we have with the parole office, the Senate Bill 123 funds, and also out-of-pocket sliding fee scales. So that's how the revenue flows in. And then on the back page, I apologize for a couple pieces of data being from 2021, but we've switched electronic health records. We also have a new director of quality and risk improvement. And so some of our 22 data isn't quite logged in yet, so I was not able to give you a current report on a couple of these. But in 2022, 1,254 distinct individuals served. You can see the client satisfaction remains pretty high. The number of people that complete detox have been running it always runs about the 80s, somewhere in who complete the program. Someday I think we'll have better data. We'll be able to tell you after 30 days, 60 days, a year, who is still in recovery and who is not, so we'll be able to track a little bit better. And then we also wanted to just give you some information on the 24-hour service there. So, commissioners, with that, I'll pause for questions or comments. I will tell you this, the substance abuse program at Vallejo like most of the substance abuse programs in the state, is open to anybody who wants to come in. Shawnee County is our primary target, but we do get people from all of the state who come for services. So mainly Shawnee County folks. And I should get you a percentage of the county of admission for each of those people, so you know maybe how many folks from Jefferson or whatever, and I'll make a note, get you some better data on exactly where our clients come. But it is a statewide program, like our crisis services are open to anybody, anytime. So there are some not only local and regional and statewide efforts that we have. So I'll pause. Thank you, Chairman.
Mr. Chairman? Yes. Bill, can you talk to us just for a moment about maybe some of the staffing issues that Vallejo's had? How are you doing with staffing? What are things that we can do that might be able to assist you with some of the staffing? And then also with the crisis center, I understand that you guys are still, it's a well-used
Very.
resource, but it means that you're at capacity a lot too. So.
We are, and sometimes capacity, Commissioners, great question, is driven by staffing. You know, so if we have 26 crisis beds and only enough people to staff 13 or 14, then effectively we have, you know, half the number of beds available. You know, hiring is that there's a little bit of progress there. Our vacancy rate runs around 13, 14, 15%. If we were fully employed, 0 openings, we would employ 350 individuals, some full-time, some part-time, 350 actual individuals. So any given time, you know, we've got 50 to 60 openings. I'm trying to do the math real quick. I think the last time I calculated that, it was about 14% or so. I think that statewide in community mental health centers like ours, I read something the other day from our executive that here in Topeka that it's running about 25%. So none of that's good news. The problem with our 14, 15% vacancy rate is that about 70% of the openings, 70% of the 15% are in our crisis continuum, somewhere along our crisis continuum of care. So that includes our residential treatment homes. And we are, Commissioner, we're one shift away from being able to reopen Roosevelt House at 2221 Southwest 6th, just up from our 2401 building. And it's been closed for 3 years, just trying to hire staff. And so we're one shift away from being able to reopen that. We've got 8 or 9 people that would be able to move in almost right away. So staffing remains a concern. It's a particular concern because most of those are in crisis services at the residence. And so people are doing double shifts, we're paying a lot of overtime, moving people maybe from one of our other 2 residential, long-term residential care facilities over to the residence to work a shift or 2 or 3, and really trying hard to recruit. We're like a lot of people, raising salaries, raising pay, you know, trying to pass along one-time gifts to people where if we can't afford maybe to give a 3% raise, maybe we'll, like we did late last year, here's a check, it's a one-time thing, here's a check. So we think we're moving to a day where we'll be able to increase salaries even more, working on that. The cash that we've used to do that last year came from you folks. You know, the ARPA money at the end of the year was, I mean, it was just exactly the kind of money we needed. We'll take a grant any day to start a new program, but like a lot of places, cash is what we need for current operations. Your ARPA cash grant to Vallejo was very helpful. I know it was helpful to the other 2 agencies to share in that money. State came through, gave us some cash for that kind of thing. So it's been helpful, and we're looking forward to a day when we can get our Medicaid rates to pay at cost. We call that CCBHC, and I think maybe last time we presented, we gave you some material on that. We're thinking July 1. We'd like April 1, but we're kind of waiting on the state to see how that budgeting process goes. But that's a long answer to a short question.
Well,
It's a great question. Kevin, we're struggling, but we're making a little progress.
Like everyone, there's staffing concerns. Every industry has staffing issues, and money doesn't always seem to be the answer to everything, but I know the Department of Corrections, we've been able to make some steps, but we still have a long ways to go, and dispatch, and so the county, we have our own staffing, but at Vallejo, I know that's crisis for you too, so.
It is. We've added a holiday or 2, and of course, you know, you add a holiday, you think, oh, that doesn't, I mean, it does cost us money because so much of our income is driven by our fees. So if we give staff a day off, I mean, it's lost revenue. But you have to compete, you have to stay competitive. So we're trying pretty hard to match pay for like agencies, similar nonprofit, social, and mental health agencies. Some we can compete with, some we just can't. But so we're just throwing all the resources we can at that. So Yeah, thank you for your question. It's a great question. If I missed anything, let me know. please.
Bill, your residential facilities, are you running at capacity, or do you have?
Yes and no. One of them, they're all licensed for 15 beds. It's called RCF, Residential Care Facility. And people stay a few months. Some people stay a few years. We've got one long-term facility that houses currently, I think there are 8 or 9 people in there. It's kind of a private pay residence, so it's, just set up a little bit, private pay fees. And it's been that way for more than 20 years. Menningers gave us that building when they left town, and so we agreed to continue to make that open to the private market. On the public market side, we've got 2 facilities. One we call the Roosevelt House at 221 Southwest Roosevelt, or Southwest 6th Street, also given to us by Menningers when they left town. We've got another one on Fraser called the Fraser House. It has, I think Fraser, we're at 14 or 15, and Roosevelt's been shuttered for several years. When it reopens, we'll be able to take up to 15 people, depending on how many staff we have. We need at least 2 people on at any given time. And so, but I know we've got 8 or 9 folks just ready to move into Roosevelt almost literally today, once we get that last shift filled. So yes and no, Chair, they're at capacity. Would they be at capacity if we could find staffing? Yes. So it gets down to how many beds are available. Well, it's kind of driven by the number of staff. So one is full, the other one's about half full, the other one's empty, waiting to be at least half full. So.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah. Bill, I think, we can all agree that a lot of our community's challenges stem back to substance abuse.
Yes, sir.
And I know that you guys probably do more to combat that than anyone else in Shawnee County. And I see the statistic you put in here that 85% of the people that come in have successfully completed the detox program. How many of those people come back?
Yeah, the recidivism rate, I don't have in front of me, Commissioner. That's a great question. I'll find out for you. We do get people who have to try to recover 3 or 4 or 5, a dozen times. The number that you see above that, the 1,200 and change, that's a distinct individuals. How many of those individuals came back? I don't know. Standing here, I don't know, but I will find out. And I'll try to find out, too, on county of residence. So how many people come here from, Beloit, for example, or, someplace. So that's a great question. We will have better data. I've been promising better data for you folks and all of us for a year, and we're working on it. New HRs, we hired a couple additional data staff, and so that day is coming. We'll have better outcomes and better tracking data. In fact, we'll have several staff on board who, it sounds wrong, but kind of follow people around like, okay, you were here for a couple crisis visits. We haven't seen you for a few weeks. How you doing? Can you come back in? What do you need? So we want to re-engage and engage people. So we'll have some better data on follow-up. Your question really is, about recidivism, which is follow-up data. I think we've got that. I'll try to get that for you.
Okay. I'm sure you got it somewhere. I'm not
There is some.
saying that your data's incomplete. It's just, I don't
Well,
expect you to know everything off the top of your head.
In effect, it's not as good as I want it to be, and we've got room to grow, room to improve, and I think you will see some improvement. It's a great question. I should have prepared for that.
So you say in here also 92% of the detox clients receive service within 24 hours, which I assume means there's not much of a waiting list right now. That
not at all.
You're kind of right-sized, you think, for the number of people that are in care, that need care?
Yeah, for the detox piece, we're able to keep up pretty well. At times, there develops a pretty significant waiting list for the inpatient, the kind of traditional 28-day program. Sometimes there's a wait list to get your own personal one-on-one counselor, which is oftentimes kind of a follow-up service. The reintegration program, I'm not sure, but we've had pretty substantial waits for inpatient services. And, so the detox, sometimes those things regulate themselves. If you have, 8 beds or 10 beds that kind of full all the time, if we had 5 or 10 more, that I imagine we could use those too. In fact, we've always felt like, we could probably double the size of our detox program and be able to do more medical detox as well. We do some now, but that would be, kind of plans for the future. And we're kind of out of space with our alcohol and drug abuse program, so, additional building space sometime, somewhere with some assets would be, I think, very much used. We could actually fill some gaps and meet some unmet needs. We've talked with the governing board and others, some of our partners around town, you folks, about the need for additional alcohol and drug treatment space. But I think if it's, there's an unmet need out there for detox, which is often the first step in the door for individuals when they choose to recovery, or they show up at our psychiatric crisis facility right across the parking lot, and we discover, oh, okay, well, there's a dual diagnosis. So that's when we begin to engage people when they need a detox. Maybe they've gotten some trouble with their drinking and drugging, or they have a psychiatric crisis, and that maybe is also involved. So anytime we can keep that door wide open, that detox is pretty important. But we could probably double the size of the detox. We could probably add a few more treatment beds as well, just to meet that waiting list that occurs from time to time. So, part of the issue is how do you build that? We kind of got an idea where we might, but how do we finance that? And then going forward, in the way the alcohol and drug abuse substance state and federal dollars flow is that there's kind of a cap on that. So, sometimes we'll run out of money, like a lot of alcohol providers around the state, maybe February, March, and April. Oftentimes, the state will have some additional dollars that they can pass out to us to help make up for that gap. But we're kind of capped each year on the number of, indigent folks that we can bill for. Now, the Medicaid just kind of keeps going and rolling, and it's always there. But the uninsured, again, is another challenge that we have, Commissioner. And so if we expand beds, we have to make sure that those dollars to pay for those beds are there, which, we have maybe going forward some options for that too. So we would always be a part of a discussion to expand our substance abuse options for people.
Okay. And then you mentioned the CCBHC, and I know that was something, it sounded like, if I remember correctly, you guys had the opportunity to join that last year, and it was based off of averages, and because of COVID, it seemed like you're probably going to not get the money that you needed because of that.
And I'll sure defer to Kathy's remarks. She's part of the leadership for our state association. But, a lot of us had hopes that we could CCBHC as early as 2014, but that just wasn't going to happen. So mental health centers, I think we got the opportunity in 2019 or 2020 to a few people to 4 county mental health. So we were hoping to go early on, and we just, they just weren't ready to let all 26 mental health, because there is increased state general fund that comes along. So every Medicaid dollar comes to the state is matched by 40 cents in state. So obviously the CCBHC, if we're going to be paid a cost by Medicaid, then the state's cost is going to go up as well to match and bring in those federal dollars. We've been ready to go for a while, and probably could have gone a year or so ago, but it just, the system wasn't quite ready to take everybody on. There were a few things we would have had to kind of hurry and catch up on, but we've been anxious to get going for about a year now. There have been kind of 2 or 3 kind of windows of opportunity kind of come and go that I just don't think the state could handle all that capacity at once. So that's kind of the debate that's going on now. When can we enroll the remaining 17 mental health centers in the CCBHC process? And I think it's getting down to a matter of, where's the state money going to come from? But
Okay.
So, yeah, we've been anxious to go and pretty much ready to go. And we are, about 3 days away from being ready to go right now in terms of our cost reports. We've submitted our application to KDADS, all 728 pages of it. I mean, it's a pretty amazing amount of work that's gone into it the last year. And so kudos to our staff at Vallejo. I know Kathy's folks have been working really hard on that as well.
Well, make sure to let us know when that happens.
We will. So again, certified community behavioral health clinic. It means that mental health centers all around the country will be treated like hospitals and other CMS providers. Like GraceMed, for example, submits a cost report. They're paid by Medicaid at cost. And so we'll be, elevated to that stature. It's going to be a great day for everybody. So.
Great.
Bill, one of your services is your homeless outreach. Could you tell us what that looks like?
Sure can. It's a number of different things. And I always want to, defer to the lead agency on that being the Topeka Rescue Mission. They're our great partners, and, probably one of the most active partnerships we have, other than, with the Director Cole at the jail and the TPD and the Sheriff's Department. But the homeless outreach, we've got a couple of teams at Vallejo whose job it is to go out and be with people, every day in many cases, just how they're doing, what's going on. We have the city between us and the rescue mission. We've got the city divided up into sectors, so that we can kind of, know where people are and can reach out and visit with them and how are they doing, especially on a cold day like today. But we have really, probably in the last 4 or 5 years, really kind of gotten with the program. We always have, provided care to people who are unsheltered and homeless, but we've made it a pretty central part of our strategy and mission to align ourselves with their needs and do what we can to help out the rescue mission and others. But so, we visit the homeless camps, whether it's one person or 15 people. We make sure that they have, the food and water and whatever else they might need, and work with the rescue mission on that. Of course, the Mobile Access Partnership, which we presented on, and K-State president came visited earlier this week, visited that program, had a nice visit with him. We set up all the units so he could see that, he and his team. So that's kind of the short and skinny on that, Chair. I could probably go on more and more, but we formed a thing called the Extreme Weather Task Force Work Group, and we spooled that up pretty quickly when we had the first polar vortex. Was that in 2021? Maybe it was that year and a half ago. So us, the rescue mission, the police, county health department, and Linda Oaks is listening in, I think. So hi, Linda, wherever you're listening remotely. We just all got together and decided how can we make sure that when it's going to be 20 below and the wind chill's blowing, and how can people be safe, particularly if there's snow. So we raised some money to get some folks into motel rooms temporarily to make sure they had extra covers for their tent. The last really cold snap we had was right at the holidays, so the rescue mission led the way, and a bunch of us joined in and helped out and put up a warming center at their storage facility up there just north of the tracks. And I think we had 50 or 60 people come in and out of that for about 3 days, and it was just so bitterly cold. So we've done a couple of pretty remarkable things. I think Vallejo raised some money, and the state helped us a little bit. We got some people, about 15 or 20 people, into motel rooms for that week, just right around the holidays, which of course gives us a chance to engage with those folks. What do you need? Are you in crisis? Can we get you into recovery? What do you need to, I know one individual, we helped find a housing voucher the last time we did this. Now they have a place of their own. So it's just another way we can get in people's way, and people can kind of trip and stumble over mental health as they face their challenges. So it's quite a comprehensive effort we have going. The city has recently, joined in, and even more than they had been. So it's good to see that partnership develop as well.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Kathy, did you want to say
Appreciate the time.
anything?
I was going to cede a bunch of time to Kathy, but such great questions, I'm always pleased to answer them. So Kathy, my colleague of many years.
Thank you for some time. I'm going to start with Commissioner Cook's question. The first half of our year in 2022, money's not everything in terms of wages, but if you're not competitive in the healthcare world, which is what we're in, you're sunk. There's just not enough healthcare workers to go around. It's one of the biggest industry workforce shortages there is. So, first half of 22, our staff are walking out the door to all kinds of opportunities in the mental health world as mental health has gained more attention and there's more opportunities out there. So we had no choice if we were going to serve the safety net and be able to continue to serve the need to do a wage review and at least get to a fairly competitive place. I believe our workers want to stay because we didn't get all the way there, but they did stop. We put the fingers in the dam, stopped. That did affect how many people we could serve in the first half of the year. Now, in terms of going forward, we're also having to add positions to ramp up, and so is Bill for the CCBHC, which not being under that funding plan yet, but having to be ready so that we can certify and get there, does have extra expenses to it. We both were fortunate to get a SAMHSA grant to help us do that, but that doesn't cover all the cost. We are completely dedicated, and sometimes we just have to do the right thing. We have really dug through any reserves that we had. Any remaining reserves we have are the securities for the loan for our crisis house that is so needed. Our building is dilapidated. We're not able to open all the beds right now due to the building. We have ramped up our workforce since we made the adjustments to wages probably gained about 15-20% of staff back, and we're getting staff returning. The other part of that is the project for our crisis house is so in need for youth these days that is always full. And sometimes it's full to the point that we can't keep them there and have to send them to the hospitals, or other out-of-home placements. So we could be doing a better job if we had the funding and and once we complete our project. So Family Service is here to help families just like yours and mine. Every day, more and more kids struggle with serious mental health issues. Every day, more teenagers are struggling and they're turning to alcohol and drugs, vaping, more than ever before. They're overdosing. The ERs are reporting much more overdosing. They're begging us to take these kids. They're contemplating suicide much more often, or they're self-harming. So we are here. We design treatment to meet each child's needs and support the family through hard times, so our youth and family can once again reach their full potential again and thrive. So what did we accomplish in 2022? I'm going to stick to the substance abuse topic today. And some of the things that helped with that is we increased access by going outside our four walls, because kids are falling through the cracks because they're not getting through our doors. So we doubled the amount of therapists that we have in the schools in 2022, and so through that program, 52% higher, more kids were served who were not getting services before. So that's a great program. It requires very good partnerships with our school districts, and we've strengthened the partnerships with all of our school districts in Shawnee County. And there's demand for much more of that in the schools. The exciting news is that we are now, so kids' alcohol drug recovery programs are very, very few and far between. There's a little bit of outpatient, but when it comes to like a residential full-blown treatment center like what Bill has with his adults, there's one in the entire state. It's in Johnson County, and it's not been financially sustainable to try to continue and replicate across the state. But we partnered with our state partners and with ARPA, who helped us with our building, and we are getting there. So we are now licensed as an alcohol drug provider at Family Service, and that goes to the partnership between Vallejo and Family Service and Guidance. Bill and I and our staff are working very hard to kind of build out that continuum of care and make it a much more smooth process from birth all the way to aged adults. So we're really excited about that and making that a very smooth continuum. There are 2 prongs to our new alcohol drug program, and one is outpatient, which is already started. We have staff certified now. We have a team, and we've already had 33 admissions into our alcohol drug program, which didn't start until June, and word's starting to get out there. The second prong of that is once our crisis building is finished, we will have what's called a co-occurring disorder recovery program. So it will be a unit, just like our crisis unit will have a co-occurring disorder unit that will specialize in both mental health and alcohol drug issues that are going on and integrate that care at the same time. And that is for those that have, the symptoms are at a level that requires structured intensive intervention and can't otherwise be maintained safely in the youth home or community, and you have to reduce access to substance. So they'll be able to stay anywhere from a couple days, if that's what they need, all the way to a full 28-day program at our new crisis center. We hope that that building will be finished in October and that we'll be able to open in October. So we're very excited about that. And finally, I will just mention that part of Bill and I's collaboration has been that Family Service has had a transitional age program, basically a 16 to 21, still in school, still maybe living at home, and we try to put them where where the specialty services are that they need. So if they're 16 and out of school and wanting to get a job, Bill's services are probably more applicable to them. But if they're 18 and they're still in school or living at home, then those probably, our specialized services are more helpful. So we decided that why are we doing a transitional age program by ourselves? So we're going to be building that with Vallejo, and so it'll be a family service in Vallejo, so they can get the best of both of us. So that's my exciting news for the day, and if you have any questions.
No, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ken. Madam Clerk.
Okay, item B, Extension Office Quarterly Report and Introduction of New Horticulture Agent Lane Williams.
Good morning, Commissioners. Candace Mearpool, Director of Shawnee County Extension Office. I'm happy to share the one-page report for you for the fourth quarter ending in December. I've selected some success stories from every program area. But we do a lot of recognition in that fourth quarter. Our 4-H program wraps up their year with their Achievement Night. Our Master Gardeners have their annual recognition ceremony, and the Extension Council has their annual meeting. And all of these programs this year were held in person, and we are very thankful for that. And at the end of the year, we're also still processing a lot of soil samples for Shawnee County residents. Before the rush of the growing season, homeowners and crop landowners bring in their soil samples, and we send them to K-State for analysis, and then our ag and horticulture team get them recommendations. We had 83 lawn soil samples this quarter and 25 field samples. And this is the last quarter where we did not have a horticulture agent for hopefully a very long time. Lane Weens started on January 9th, and on his second day, we went ahead and sent him to a Master Gardener meeting. So it was a very eventful first week for him. And I didn't know until after we hired him that he said, well, I know you. I was a camp counselor when you were a 4-H agent. So made me feel old, but we're still happy to have him, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Lane Weens, and as Candace just said, I'm the new horticulture agent here in Shawnee County. I graduated K-State with my bachelor's in horticulture in 2020, magna cum laude, so highest honors. And I will be finishing my master's from K-State in horticulture here in May, so I'll defend sometime late this spring to finish up that program. As for experience in the horticulture field, that's wide. Greenhouse production, sales and retail, fruit production, landscape design, installation, and maintenance. So I've done a little bit of everything. So I have a really wide basis of knowledge that I can pull from to help serve the citizens here in Shawnee County, and I'm looking forward to doing so.
That's fantastic.
Well, welcome aboard, Lane.
Thank you
It's
very
always good to
much.
have another K-Stater on board.
Always, always.
Yes, we had a very big Monday. We had the president of K-State in Shawnee County. I know he visited with some of you at different sessions, but he actually came to our joint PDC meeting at our extension office, so that was kind of cool.
Very good.
Great.
Okay. Any questions?
Well, Candace, it's awfully risky of you bringing a horticulturalist around all these Parks and Rec folks.
So Commissioner Rapon and I have already had a discussion about that. He's mine.
It's good to be in demand, isn't it? Yeah. All right. Madam Clerk, what is next?
Item 3, Consent Agenda.
I would move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item 4, New Business A, County Clerk Number 1, consider all voucher payments.
Commissioners, we have vouchers this morning that total $2,782,124.17. Some of the highlights out of the voucher report: the largest expenditure comes from our pooled cash, of which is the majority is payroll. That was $1,163,579.36. Other highlights are our health insurance premium for our employees of $286,170.70. Holding accounts with the state of Kansas, $135,434.57. Under courts, there was $89,812.27, of which the majority of that was court-appointed counsel. Under detention facility inmate canteen, Kim Image Corporation, which was $194,435, is chemical mail scanning system. Under the Elections Commissioner Intech Software Solution Incorporated for $29,360 is election management software. And finally, under the sewer districts with the city of Topeka is $245,048.05 is the third quarter operation and maintenance of sewer districts number 2, 6, and 65 in Sherwood. I don't have any questions regarding the vouchers, would move for their approval.
Second. Motion's been made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item A2, consider correction orders.
I would move for approval of the correction orders.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item A3, consider approval of the following renewals for tax exemption incentives for economic development for year 2023. And I have these in, had my staff put these on in the oldest to the newest. Okay, item 1, Big Heart Pet Brands, formerly Del Monte Foods, Inc., for a tax exemption incentive for year 9. 2, Crosswinds Pet Foods, Inc., for a tax exemption incentive for year 9. 3, Mars Chocolate North America LLC for a tax exemption incentive for year 9. HME Inc., expansion number 3 for a tax year exemption incentive for year 8. Item 5, Big Heart Pet Brands, formerly Del Monte Foods Inc., for a tax exemption incentive for year 7. Item 6, Mars Wrigley Confectionery U.S. LLC, formerly known as Mars Chocolate North America LLC, for a tax exemption incentive for year 6. Number 7, Reese's Fine Foods, Inc., the salad plant, for a tax exemption incentive for year 5. 8, Frito-Lay Inc.'s expansion for a tax exemption incentive for year 4. 9, Reese's Fine Food, Inc., baked potato plant, for a tax exemption incentive for year 4. 10, Global Grain LLC, for a tax exemption incentive for year 3. And Hills Pet Food Inc., Hills Pet Nutrition Inc., the Small Paws, for a tax exemption incentive for year 2. These have all been reviewed by the Counselor's Office. They have met the criteria of each of their resolutions that had been approved by the Commission, and we are requesting that you approve these exemptions for 1 more year.
Any questions or comments?
I'll move for approval.
Second. Motion's been made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item B, Bond Council, number 1, public hearing and consider approval of resolution number 2023-7, declaring the necessity and advisability of enlarging Shawnee County Main Sewer District number 37, lateral number Sewer District number 8, to include 2 additional lots.
Good morning, Bob Perry. Before you consider this, we'll need to open a public hearing to allow anybody interested in making comments to the enlargement of the lateral district, part of Main Sewer District 37, to make any comments. Public Works has contacted the city of Topeka, and they don't have any interest in objecting to or consenting to or making comments to this matter, according to the exchange of emails I've seen.
I'll move that we open the public hearing.
I'll second. Motion's been made by Commissioner Mays, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries. We're now in a public hearing. Ask anybody who's, we'll start with in favor of this project. Seeing none. Anyone opposed? All right.
I'd ask you to close the public hearing and approve the resolution.
I will move that we close the public hearing
And adopt.
and adopt.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Bob.
You're welcome. I'm up next again, Bill.
Okay. Next item.
Item B2, consider approval of resolution number 2023-8 to create Timber Ridge Subdivision Street Benefit District Phase 6, authorize construction and to assess all costs.
This will allow Chuck Deltmeyer and his partner, Rolla Hagan, to basically extend out a portion of the Timber Ridge subdivision to serve 11 lots. The storm sewer and the sanitary sewer, the developers are paying for, and so they're going to have a benefit district created for the streets, and then we will assess the cost of the streets once the construction is complete. He wants a payback period of 20 years, which is typical for streets and benefit districts in the county.
Any questions or comments? I would move for approval.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Madam Clerk, next item.
Item C, Parks and Recreation. Number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C-24-2023 and amendment to Shawnee County Contract C-118-2011 with the Shawnee Yacht Club to allow the club to lease and utilize the area at Lake Shawnee through December 31, 2023.
Morning, Eric Van Beesler, Parks and Recreation. This will just simply allow an extension onto the Shawnee Yacht Club in the area on the west side of Lake Shawnee. We have met with them, and we are in continuance of looking at this contract and the benefit to Shawnee County, and we'll be monitoring it a little bit more closely this year as we move toward a new contract in 24.
Questions?
So just to clarify, there's no modifications to the contract. This is just continuing it for one more year?
Yes.
Okay. I would move for approval.
I'll second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item C2, consider authorization and execution of contract C-25-2023, a change order to Shawnee County Contract C-255-2022 with Rail Works Tracks Services for additional repair work at the Gage Park Train Track Rehab. The contract sum will increase by $42,820, with funding to come from the department's Building Maintenance 3R Fund.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tim Laurent, Shawnee County Parks and Recreation. So since we came up here on September 9th of 2022, we've identified some additional projects that we would like to work with Railworks on when they're here. And specifically, perhaps the largest one is replacing more railroad ties. So we have a total of 3,000 railroad ties on the mini train. And we're looking to replace a total of 550 if you add what we'd originally done and then the additional. There have not been any major railroad tie or work done on the ties since 2000. So we're playing a little bit of catch up, but we want to make sure that everything is in tip-top shape before we get our new train and start running this season. So railroad tie replacement. Another thing that is becoming a serious issue is we've got some situations where you'll have stormwater runoff. It'll rain and the water will run down the road, and then the railroad tracks, where the railroad tracks cross the street, it kind of funnels that water right down the railroad track, which is causing some decay to the ties and some other issues. So part of this is to divert that water and keep that from basically being a river running right down our railroad tracks. And then lastly, we've got some issues with our expansion joints south of the depot. Essentially, we've expanded those expansion joints as much as we can, so we've got to go in and add some and reconfigure that a little bit. I'd be happy to answer any questions on any of that. And I also have Brent Holstetter here, so if you stump me with a question that I can't answer, Brent should be able to help us.
Tim, as part of this gate, or the mini train project. Has anybody looked at the bridge that we have over, just kind of west of the carousel?
Well, let's bring Brent up.
Trestle.
Trestle, yeah.
Yes, this is Brent Holsether, Fleet Supervisor for Parks and Rec. We have looked at the bridge, and there are a couple of issues. We fixed actually a few last year. We're going to replace one of the beams on it this year. We actually just had the beam milled out of some oak that came out of one of the parks. So there are some issues going on with that, but we are planning to address them.
Okay, thank you.
Don't go too far.
A couple questions. The new train, how does it compare to the old train in terms of weight? Is it heavier, lighter? I mean, what?
I don't know the answer to that.
Very similar. There's going to be, in operation, there'll be one more car. But as far as the weight of the cars and the weight of the engine individually, they're very similar. I think about 7,000 pounds for the engine, and I believe about 2,000 for the cars.
Okay. I asked because, not just out of curiosity, it's because of the obviously the railroad ties and stuff. We want to make sure they're structurally going to be able to handle it. It also, though, it seems that this is something that probably should be covered by the Gage Park Improvement Authority,
Yeah.
who obviously doesn't have any money right now.
Right, you're correct, and we were hoping to utilize those funds, but for those of you that don't know, they won't start accumulating, as it stands right now anyway, that money won't start generating until April 1st, and we won't have access to it probably until the fall. So that is delayed projects that we had wanted to utilize those funds for.
So to follow up on that, is this is a project that you would consider an emergency type of a situation? These have to be done before the train opens up?
Yes. I don't think we're in a situation where I don't want to act like we were driving on a track last year that was unsafe, that we were operating a track that was unsafe. I don't think that's the case. But we're going to have these folks from this company here at this time. I think it's important that while they're here, that we address all of these issues. And we do. We want to make sure that things run smoothly. I think we're going to see with the new train, I think we're going to see even more. It's very popular now, but I think it's going to be even more popular. So I want to try to avoid, we had a lot of downtime in the past. Seems like every year, since I've been here anyway, we have to shut the train down 3, 4, 5 times a year for a day or two. We want to try to avoid that. So we're trying to get out ahead of it.
Is the new engine a diesel, a little?
It's
It's
electric.
all electric?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Mr. Chairman. Jim, does the Gage Park Improvement Authority have the ability to retroactively pay for expenses that Parks and Rec may have in Gage Park, so we can get the rails done now, and then when the Gage Park Improvement Authority has their tax money in July or August or September, whenever it may be, when there's that first disbursement, that they would be able to go back and then apply that?
Jim Krause, Shawnee County Councilor. Yes, legally they would have that authority, but they are an independent board, so they will need to vote to use that authority to do such a thing.
So, can I follow? I'm sorry. Is it possible that maybe we could, at their next meeting, ask them if they'd be willing to pay for it? Maybe we can just invoice them?
Yes, that would be possible. I need to think about this a little bit and how this would work. Are you talking about us going ahead, would it be a model where we went ahead and did the work and then they reimbursed us
Yes.
for it?
Yeah, that we would
Yeah,
invoice them for
I
our
mean,
costs.
quite honestly, the way I understand it, and Jim, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the funds that are dedicated for Gage Park specifically in Shawnee County, it is up to the discretion of us. I will bring those things to you. and tell you that this is what we're proposing to do, because even though these funds are separate, I sort of liken it to the Parks for All Foundation, where we're getting the funds from someplace else, but we're typically following the Shawnee County purchasing policy, and we come here and ask to do these projects. So I don't see any reason why we couldn't do that, and I think that would probably be met positively by the board.
Mr. Chairman, the long and the short of it is, the work needs to be done now.
Yeah.
They know the money will be coming later, so if they do the work now and then apply the money later, and maybe looking at audit finance, since it would be coming directly through, maybe not through the Gage Park Improvement Authority, it would be coming directly to Shawnee County, they would set that up as a job ledger so that it would be paid when the monies are received.
Betty Griner, Director of Administrative Services. As I understand it, and I have not been to one of their board meetings, but as I understand it, once the money comes in, then the portion that is designated to the county, to the zoo, would automatically be distributed out based on the percentages. Then the other amount will still be held by that Gage Park Authority. So once the money comes to the county, and it won't come till June, but once that money comes to the county, then it would be at the county's discretion what they use it for. We will account for it in a separate fund or a separate account of some type, so that we keep track that that is just for Gage Park, and any purchases then would come to you.
And there would not be issues with retroactively reimbursing ourselves?
No.
Right.
It would just be a transfer from one fund to another.
So the department's basically fronting the money to get reimbursed at a later time.
Right.
Tim, does that answer your questions?
It does, yeah, I don't see why that won't work.
Tim, you're on the Gage Park Authority
am.
Board. And has your group been meeting regularly?
Yeah, we've had 2 meetings. We just met last week. I believe it was last week, so we won't meet again until, when?
April.
Yeah. But I think, and then I believe, if I'm not mistaken, after April, we've discussed meeting monthly for the rest of the year. There's a lot to be done with all 3 entities, so we felt like meeting quarterly may not be quite enough to start.
You have to set up bylaws and.
Yeah, we've done that.
Okay.
So, yeah,
All right.
we're into it. The only thing we don't have is money.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I would move to approve the request to expend $42,820 for the improvement of the Gage Park rail line, and that it would be reimbursed from the sales tax money for Gage Park when it's received at some later date.
I would second that. Motion's been made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Thank you. Next item.
Item C3, approval is requested to participate in the Kansas Forest Service's request for proposals that will help determine a scope of work and future funding yet to be determined by the federal government's Inflation Reduction Act, IRA. There is no immediate cost to participate, and such completion of the IRA request does not promise or guarantee any future funding.
Tim Laurent, Shawnee County Parks and Recreation. So we were the Kansas Forest Service reached out to us a couple of weeks ago about this. This is obviously relatively new. To be honest with you, I think they're still feeling their way through the process. I have Brian Toby here with me. He has been working on this with them. They are basically just asking us for a proposal on, if we were to receive this grant money, what would we use it for? And they have listed several things, and that's on the memo: equitable access to community tree canopies, community engagement, resiliency of your community forest, long-term growth and development of your community forest and program, and other things. So I'd like to say right now today that if we were, if we were to do this and we were to be selected, we would do X, Y, Z, but we're not there yet. Simply what we're asking you today is to be able to work with them on this proposal, send them what we think we could use this money for, and then if we're selected, or as this process moves forward, I guess, we would come back down and actually ask to participate in the grant or apply for the grant. But we're not quite there yet. This is just basically acknowledging that we're working on it, and there could be a situation down the road where we identified between $400,000 and $500,000 worth of projects, equipment, and staffing that we could utilize from this grant. But we understand it's a 50-50 match. So if we were to be awarded $500,000, we'd have to come up with $250,000. One thing that is very appealing about this is you could come up with it from a cash standpoint or an in-kind. So if we were to show that we were doing the work and we were doing $250,000 worth of work, we may not have to come up with any matching funds, so to speak. So this is really just more of asking you to acknowledge this and that we're working towards it, to let you know this is happening. And we needed to do this to satisfy part of their requirement.
Sure.
Yeah.
Question? I would move for approval.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item C4, approval is requested to reclassify 2 current positions for Parks and Recreation. A vacant accountant 2 position would be changed to an administrative officer, and the camp before after school programmer would be changed to a recreation supervisor, camps and recreations center. Sufficient funding is available in the department operating budget to cover these requests.
Tim Laurent, Shawnee County Parks and Recreation. So we're talking about 2 positions here, reclassification. The accountant 2 position was a new position that you approved last year that we have had open, and we have interviewed several candidates, but we've not been able to find someone suitable for the position. So we're essentially lowering the qualifications. We think this would open it up for a wider range of applicants, and would essentially still be doing predominantly the same duties as the accountant 2. So we pay them a little less, the qualifications would be a little less, but we hope to be able to fill it by doing this. I'd be happy to answer any questions about this position before we move on to the other. Kind of keep them straight.
Any questions? Okay.
Okay. And the other one is our reclassifying our camp before and after school supervisor position. So this individual has been with the department for a long time. Has an excellent track record. What we would like to do is elevate this position so that, in a sense, we think this person can do more, take on some added responsibility. They would be taking over the supervision of not all, but most of our recreation, our community centers. And this would alleviate a little bit of the pressure on some of our other staff. So essentially, they can generate more programs, increase the number of programs that we're offering. Those are really the goals. I'd be happy to talk about either one of those positions or get more specific, but we can't cover all of these moves within our current budget, so we're not asking for any additional funds. We're just tweaking some positions a little bit and some responsibilities.
Questions? I would move for approval.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Next item.
Item D, Department of Corrections, number 1, request approval to develop and issue a request for qualifications to select a vendor for the design and build of a mental health living unit within the Adult Detention Center.
Excuse me. Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Cole, Shawnee County Department of Corrections. I met with Jim Crowell earlier today regarding this project, and before I can present or there being a request for an approval, we have to, by statute, and Jim, make sure I say this correctly, is we have to, by statute, post a notice of a public hearing if we want to use the design-build process. So with the extent of this project and as much, as big as it is, that Jim and I met, that I would work with the county clerk or the county counselor's office on getting this set up to where we would post a public, or notice to the public for 15 days by statute, and then I would be available for your permission to open up a public hearing that we would set in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then after that, give the community the opportunity to object or approve, or we hear the public's comments, and then I can provide this request. And so I want to make sure that we're doing everything statutorily. If we do choose the design build, that's the method I would choose to do, that I would like to. It's been very beneficial for us. It gives us the flexibility, but, and then I would allow Jim Crow with the County Counsel's Office to provide any further information on that, so.
Jim Crow, Shawnee County Counselor. Yes, this is, using design build is called an alternative delivery method from the traditional method of design, bid, build.
Yeah.
And per Kansas statute, we're required to go through a specific process in order to authorize the use of design, build, the alternative delivery method. He just described, we're going to have to put a notice in our official county newspaper for at least 15 days, setting a date for a public hearing, at which you will determine whether design build is an appropriate method for doing this project. There will be public input, if any arrives to give us public input, and then we'll be able to proceed with the design build process if this board determines that that's the appropriate way to proceed.
Questions?
So, we need to have notice.
So so basically, Director Cole is requesting permission to go ahead and start that process.
Yes, and I would work with the county clerk or the county counselor's office to put this notice for 15 days of notice to open a public hearing regarding the design build proposal for the implementation and of a behavioral health care module at the Shawnee County Department of Corrections. That would be my motion, or my request, excuse me.
Question, do you just want them to set a date for the public hearing?
Or just direct him.
Approval to do that.
Direct him to start the process, and then we'll work with you to find the appropriate date
Yeah.
that meets the statutory time.
This is new to me as far as putting something in there, so I just want to make sure that I don't do anything inappropriate or incorrect.
Again.
Yes, again.
I'm sorry.
She knows me well.
My chair's really making me cranky, sorry about
It's
that.
okay. I got jail cells.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I would move to authorize the Director of the Shawnee County Department of Corrections to publicize in the county newspaper for no less than 15 days his intent to seek from the Board of County Commissioners a design build for mental health housing unit at the Adult Detention Center,
Yes.
with public hearing to be set within that notice of hearing.
I'll second that. Motion's been made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Second here. Next item.
Item E, Commission, number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C 26-2023, amendment to contract C 57-2022 with West Side Stamp and Awards, doing business as T-shirts, et cetera, to provide a website for Shawnee County employees to purchase apparel from February 1, 2023 to January 31, 2024.
Good morning, Commissioners. Amanda Monholland, PIO for Shawnee County. Yes, this is just a renewal of the current contract that we have to continue on with what we are currently have right now with T-shirts, et cetera, which has provided us a website which all county employees can access from the intraweb, and it is a link underneath the commission heading. And nothing is changing. It's just a continuation, and I stand for any questions.
Questions?
I'll move for approval.
I'll second. Motion's been made by Commissioner May, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0.
And just one more thing I'd like to add is that it has gotten a lot of traction, and we did very well the first year. What I was expecting. However, just to put it out there, if you haven't gotten any apparel, please feel free to go out there and see what's available. We have added several new items out onto the website. And also a reminder that a portion of those proceeds do go to Project Topeka when we start working on that fundraising for the year. So, thank you.
Thank you. Next item.
Item 5, public comment.
I don't have anyone signed up, but do we have anyone from the public that would like to speak? Seeing none. Next item.
Item 6, administrative communications.
Brian Cole, Shawnee County Department of Corrections. I'm just happy to note that we will start our next Basic Officers Academy next Monday. We have approximately 15 to 19 participants that'll be doing that. This is a great time that we continue to make good strides with our hiring, but that'll be a 2-week academy. And then I will be sending notice to the commissioners regarding the graduations that will be there. But I just want to let everybody know that we do have our next academy starting up, and we're excited about that.
Excuse me, how many candidates do you have?
I believe it was 15 or 19. I know there was quite a few. This will be a big class.
Very good. All right.
Thank you.
Tim Laurent, Parks and Recreation. I want to let people know that our Sporty Sprouts toddler basketball camps are about ready to start. The deadline is February 19th, and the deadline's February 12th, and the program starts February 19th. So if you have a 3 or 5-year-old in the house that wants to get some basketball skills at an early age, maybe play for the Jayhawks someday, get them down there and get them enrolled. Also, a new program that we're offering at Great Overland Station. It's the First Friday, the NOTO First Friday. It's a pop-up coffee shop at the Great Overland Station. So drop in when you're down at NOTO and check that out. And then lastly, I just wanted to remind everyone that we're hiring. So we've got openings for especially a lot of part-time positions, intermittent positions, our lifeguards, concessionaires work, park maintenance, golf course maintenance. We do have full-time positions open as well. We have a forestry position that's been open for quite some time. The administrative officer that I mentioned earlier. We have a horticulture position open, and the starting salary is negotiable. But if you would like more information about jobs, please visit the website at www.sncO.us/OASYS. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim, and you could use the help. So. Anyone else? Commissioner Mays, do you have anything to add?
Well, Tim went through the Parks and Rec jobs, but we've got jobs all over the county. So if anybody's out there watching, I know that typically our live streams get about 5 or 6 people. That definitely check it out. Tell all your friends and family. There's referral bonuses on a lot of those positions as well. So if you are a current employee and you know somebody looking for a job, send them our way. Other than that, go Chiefs.
Yeah. Commissioner Cook?
Nothing today, thank you.
I just wanted to add that we will be having a work session on Monday. For those viewing in aren't familiar with our new setup, we are not doing formal business meetings on Mondays. We've turned those into work sessions, and next Monday, Kurt Niehaus and staff will be here to do an annual report on parking lots, and we'll be discussing what our needs are and our priorities for improving our parking lot situation. So anyway, that's all I have. What's next?
Item 7, executive session.
We have no need for executive session, so we're adjourned.